Council on the 11th of March 2025 at 3 p.m. We'll start with the opening prayer. Almighty God, we seek your blessing and guidance in our deliberations on behalf of the people of the Colac Otway Shire. Enable this Council's decisions to be those that contribute to the true welfare and betterment of our community. Amen. I would like to start this afternoon by acknowledging the traditional custodians and lawmakers of this land, their elders past and present, and welcome any descendants here today. Please be advised that this meeting is recorded and live streamed, with the exception of confidential matters. This includes the public participation sections of meetings. The live stream recording of this afternoon's meeting will be available on the website as soon as practicable. By participating in open meetings, individuals consent to the use and disclosure of the information they share at the meeting, including any personal and/or sensitive information. I note that all 7 councillors are present at this meeting and we have no apologies. Move to the confirmation of minutes. I'll propose that we move to confirm the minutes of the Submissions Committee meeting held on the 11th of February 2025. Do I have a mover? Councillor Howard. No seconder, Councillor Potter. I'll now call for a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McCrickar, Councillor Dadoud, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm, carried 7-0. Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations to declare? No. We'll move on to verbal submissions from submitters. Council appreciates the community submissions on today's agenda item and values their effort put into both written and in-person contributions. Councillors review all submissions thoroughly and find them very useful. Today, people can restate or highlight parts of their submissions. I'll now read the names of the registered speakers. Please raise your hand if your name is called. Matt Cook, David Tolmer. Thank you. Please note that this committee will hear submissions today, but no decisions will be made at this meeting. A decision on this matter will be made at a later meeting. We'll now move to items on the agenda. Item 5.1, the use and development of dwelling and removal of native vegetation, 5650 Great Ocean Road, Wangara. We have 2 people who have requested to speak at their submission. Firstly, I'll invite Matt Cook up to address the committee. You have 5 minutes. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. We purchased this property in 2020. Since then, we've worked hard on improvements, including rebuilding farm infrastructure, significant weed eradication, and planting to date approximately 2,000 Indigenous trees and shrubs. We're currently residents of Anglesey, but in order to continue this work, it is our intention to relocate to Wangara when our children finish schooling in Geelong. At the time of purchase, the property was subject to a 2-lot subdivision permit. This permit stated that the development must be carried out in accordance with the recommendation of the Lanasco Geotech Assessment. The primary recommendation of this assessment stated that the proposed house sites are considered satisfactory near the centre line of the respective ridges. Our purchase was contingent on this permit condition and its tacit approval of this ridge line as the appropriate site for a house. Our dwelling design and planning application therefore reflected this location. After a long period of information exchange with Council, 3 months ago we received the following email from the Planning Officer. My report will recommend the application for refusal and will be available for you to read before the meeting. We have still not received this report and its formal reasons and recommendations. Our submission today is therefore based upon what we assume to be the position of the Planning Officer. This being that they do not object to a dwelling on the property or our current design. They do object to our proposed location due to its perceived visibility from the Great Ocean Road and non-compliance with SLO3 of the planning scheme, and would prefer a location either closer to the front of the property at the base of the ridge or further to the north of the property on the far side of the ridge. For the following reasons, we submit that our proposal is the best location under the planning scheme. 1. Geotechnical advice. In the last 25 years, 3 geotech experts have highlighted this location as suitable for a house. It involves the least landslip risk, the least site cut and the least drainage issues. In their most recent advice, considering the alternative locations put forward by Council, geotech consultants AGR noted the location on the peak of the ridge is the preferred option geotechnically. Building at the base of the hill is not advisable. The area north of the ridge should be considered an exclusion zone for future development. Number 2, environmental and rural considerations. The good overview of the farmland provided from this location will encourage the continued management of weeds and pests. The north-facing aspect also enables the best opportunities for capturing solar power and passive heating. 3, impact on neighbours and community. The location has the support of both immediate neighbours, received no community objections, and is entirely consistent with other dwellings on this stretch of the road. 4, is supported by the past actions of Council. As noted, a pre-existing subdivision permit included a condition that recommends this site. Our legal advice is that this condition requires that any house be built in this position. In addition, in 2011, following a VCAT ruling and subsequent site visits, Council endorsed a building envelope in a similar location to that currently proposed. This permit lapsed prior to our purchase. Number 5 is compliant with the planning scheme. We believe that our submission not only complies with the planning scheme, but represents the best balancing of competing planning outcomes under the scheme. The main issue for consideration is SLO3. This requires that building on prominent locations is not highly visible and is sensitively designed, and that building and ridge lines be avoided unless there is no suitable alternative site. We submit that our application meets all of these criteria. Officers have verbally agreed that the dwelling is sensitively designed. Renders of the dwelling indicate that it is not highly visible. It is set back 240 metres from the road and is nestled into the ridge. Visibility of the dwelling is at an oblique angle to the road at a point where the main views are in the opposite direction over the ocean towards Apollo Bay. Over time, these views will be further softened by pre-existing Indigenous plantations along the road and additional planting under the proposed landscape plan. The application also demonstrates that there is no suitable alternative site due to a combination of geotechnical and title boundary constraints. We note that VCAT recently considered these issues in an almost identical case on the Blue Joanna Road. In finding in favour of the landholder, they noted the SLO does not seek for the development to be invisible or to even have limited visibility. And they accepted in that case that the relevant views were partly masked by roadside vegetation and were a series of passing views in a context where the road speed and its winding nature require driving attention. In conclusion, it remains our passion to build a home on this land and continue its improvements. We've acted in good faith by selecting a building site that was tacitly approved by the Council in their subdivision permit conditions. The location is entirely consistent with the planning scheme and has the support of neighbours. We hope that you can see fit to approve our current application.
Thanks, Matt. Next, I'll invite David up to speak. Thank you.
Thank you for hearing my submission to support the application for 5650 Great Ocean Road, Wangara. My wife Deirdre and I are owners of the next door property, 5620 Great Ocean Road, where we built a home due to our love of the area and particularly the views south to Apollo Bay. In fact, we specifically sited and designed the house so that each bedroom has a view to the lights of Apollo Bay at night. We're very supportive of the way in which Matt and Kylie have improved the land adjacent to us since they purchased it in 2020. They have undertaken significant blackbird control, made huge improvements in fencing, protecting areas of native vegetation and our property from stock, and they have undertaken extreme tree planting, both for erosion control and also to provide habitat corridors. All these improvements have indirectly benefited us, but also demonstrate what value and committed members of the Wangara community Matt and Kylie are. We are thrilled they would like to build on the land to be able to spend more time on their property. Their proposal to build on an already council-approved building site makes absolute sense to us. Their plans are sensitive to the area, low profile, and would have minimal visual impact from the Great Ocean Road. Matt and Kylie have designed a situationally thoughtful home that is in keeping with the character of the area. It is compatible with adjoining land uses and has absolutely minimal impact on us as immediate neighbours. I understand that the council planners are concerned about visual impacts from low viewpoints along the Great Ocean Road. We are very fortunate in our little stretch on the coast that our properties cannot be seen from viewpoints along the Great Ocean Road. We have a steep headland just south of Browns Creek and 300 metres to the northeast, the broad headland south of Von Mueller's Creek. The only vision people on the Great Ocean Road have of our house and the proposed site for Matt and Kylie is when they are directly in front. Due to the nature of the road dropping behind the cutting at the northeast approach and behind the property of 5640 from the southwest, the proposed site would only be visible for approximately 300 metres from the Great Ocean Road. This is driven past in about 15 seconds. Assuming drivers are concentrating on the road, it must be the passenger's visual outlook that is of concern. With a site elevation of 47 metres and set back 250 metres from the road, any passenger travelling towards Apollo Bay would not be able to see out of the driver's side windows, so there is even less time that it would be visible. And the plantings of Matt and Kylie have proposed, and the impact will be insignificant. Compare this with what we understand is an alternative proposal from council planners. Putting the dwelling at the bottom of the block, close to the road, would be a much more dominant element within the view shed from the Great Ocean Road and would be a much greater visual impact than the preferred site 250 metres back. It would also improve the rural aspect of the block and create a chain of dwellings along the Great Ocean Road if the house was situated on the road. We have significant concerns about the impact of siting the dwelling at the bottom of the block on our amenity, drainage, and the key thing that drew us to the block in the first place, the rural outlook and views to Apollo Bay. Our home was specifically designed to embrace these views, southwest to Apollo Bay. Each room is set back with clear sight lines. As I mentioned before, the bedrooms are all designed so you can see the lights of Apollo Bay. Our love of the area is provided by the amenity of open rural views. And there are even little things like our grandkids staying up late to watch the Apollo Bay fireworks on New Year's Eve from our front deck. And dwelling on the lower part of the 5650 property would block these views, contribute significantly to light pollution of our outlook at night, and entirely remove the rural outlook we love so dearly. The nature of the land on the lower part of the block is also of concern to me. I can attest to the fact that the land is extremely boggy on the lower part of the slope and would require extensive drainage with potential to impact on our existing well-established garden and dam. A building in this location is inconceivable to us, and we would strongly object to a development in the lower part of the block. I wish to close by asking you to support the application made by Matt and Kylie to the building at the site submitted in their application for Lot 1, 5620. And in doing so, I'm also asking you not to destroy the amenity that we have enjoyed for 24 years in our coastal home. And I've attached some photos which I think have been distributed to you that show 3 generations of our family enjoying our block and the views to Apollo Bay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Thanks, councillors. We have an officer recommendation in the report. Does anyone wish to move that? Councillor Howard. Does anyone wish to second it? Councillor Potter. Councillor Howard.
Just like to thank the people who made submission today and their effort in putting all that information together. So thank you very much. That helps us with our deliberations and it's much appreciated.
Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to thank you, as Councillor Howard said, for taking the time to come in today and speak to us. It's good to hear some positive submissions and not always objections at these things. So, and well rehearsed, I think, because they were both nearly right on 5 minutes, so it was perfect. So thank you. Councillor Howard, has the right to reply? No. No, we have the motion before us. Council will now put to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McCrickow, Councillor Dadu, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm. He's carried 7-0. Thank you, everybody. That concludes this submissions committee meeting of the Colac Otway Shire. I declare this meeting closed at 3:16. Thank you.